Jurassic Park. In the early 90s, these two words elicited one of two things. Cinematic majesty, or that book that your teacher said was too advanced for your below-average reading level. But nearly 30 years after we held onto our butts and learned about dino DNA, Jurassic Park has become a film franchise that most everyone can agree has had more bad entries than good ones. Jurassic World Dominion is the latest entry in the dino saga, making nearly $1 billion at the box office and has audiences begging for an explanation. How did we go from beloved and adored to tolerated and confused? Well, let me answer my own question with another question. What is Jurassic Park essentially about? You can't play God, life finds a way, and you should like kids and want to be a dad, I guess. What is Jurassic World Dominion about? Animal trafficking, pharmaceutical monopoly, passing the torch, climate change, making your own family, and of course, finding a new way to suck the lifeblood out of the
most valuable intellectual property on the planet.
Spoilers ahead for the people who care about spoilers. Dominion takes place 4 years after the events of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, when this little lady released a bunch of dinosaurs into the wild. Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard return as the big screen's okayest couple, Owen Grady and Claire Dearing. They've been living off the grid with Maisie Lockwood, a girl who they bumped into in a spooky mansion and kind of kidnapped. Meanwhile, Big Pharma's villainy is given a face in the form of Biosyn CEO Louis Dodgson. Biosyn has created prehistoric locusts that wipe out all competitor crops in a madman plot to control the world's food supply. You know, classic Jurassic. Along the way, Maisie is revealed to be the MacGuffin that Biosyn is actually after, her clone DNA being the key to blah blah science blah. Anywho, new Jurassic friends meet old Jurassic friends, and evil movie capitalism is defeated, while real evil capitalism reigns supreme. And some of the dinosaurs have feathers this time. Does this sound like a movie you'd like to see? Of course not. Once upon a time, sequels were not a foregone conclusion, with occasional blockbusters like Jurassic Park being the exception. The Lost World was greenlit almost immediately and released to mixed reactions. And like other add-on sequels at the turn of the century, Jurassic Park 3 was an empty cash grab continuation that eventually rendered the franchise extinct. For years, the series lived on through internet whispers of the horrible human-dinosaur hybrid that would have been featured in the since-scrapped Jurassic Park 4. But as the children of the 80s and 90s grew up, Hollywood paleontologists began to harvest the DNA of childhood memories and genetically engineer movies that preyed upon their own nostalgia. Hey kids, what if those velociraptors you love so much were your homies this time around? Thus, Jurassic World was born. The first Jurassic World was more or less a retread of Jurassic Park. Dinos escaped the park, chaos ensues, and a watershed moment was made for all women who love to run in their heels. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was a video game island cutscene followed by a haunted house dinosaur chase. And Jurassic World Dominion is all kinds of ideas that never quite land. Having the most interesting premise of the new trilogy, dinosaurs roaming the Earth, Dominion is perhaps an even bigger disappointment due to its wasted potential. Besides a handful of National Geographic Lion King stylized shots, we don't really get to see what this new world of dinosaurs running free looks like. Instead, we get a modern-day Flintstones reboot and some schlocky now this exposition that teases more interesting movies than the one we're watching. The only real change to the world economy is the rise of dinosaur trafficking, as evidenced by this Star Wars cantina scene that takes place during the James Bond portion of the film. But this exotic Maltese location is already an unfamiliar setting for us to begin with, so throwing in dinosaurs doesn't provide much dichotomy from our everyday lives. Again, how are you gonna tease dinosaurs roaming free in the wild and spend 75% of the movie on yet another secret dino island? Honestly, my bar was pretty low for this movie. Based on its premise, the only thing I was hoping for was a dinosaur to come blasting through someone's home mid-conversation, and I didn't even get that. Aquaman did that 4 times, and it didn't even have any dinosaurs. They do, however, bring back my favorite innovation from Fallen Kingdom, the Dino Pheromone Laser Pointer. Except in the last movie, they had it on the end of a sniper rifle, which could arguably kill its target by itself without the assistance of an expensive and dangerous dinosaur. Jurassic World continues a peculiar trend of late-stage franchise entries of recent past. Nowadays, there's a superfluous layer of social causes and commentary in an attempt at relevance. In this case, it's a combination of climate change.
You're racing toward the extinction of our species, and you don't care.
And agriculture. See also, Monsanto kills the X-Men, Terminator tries to address border control, and Predator reveals to us that people on the spectrum are the next step in evolution? Needless to say, none of these movies are competent enough to tackle these very complex real-world issues. So it should come as no surprise that these two yahoos genetically engineered locusts aren't up to the task either. More on those fools in a minute. While I would hardly use the word better to distinguish the first Jurassic World from its sequels, I will give it credit for not trying to include that extra layer of social commentary. The movie is pretty obtuse in its cynical ambitions.
Consumers want them bigger, louder.
Cooler, I believe, is the word that you use.
The movie itself exists because Universal Studios believes
No one's impressed by a dinosaur anymore.
though he only appears in one scene in the original Jurassic Park, B.D. Wong has returned as evil genius Dr. Henry Wu in every Jurassic World since, including in animated and Lego form. In Dominion, however, Wu is made up to be old, tired, and full of regret, as evidenced by his wearing the saddest sweater on the planet. And you'd be forgiven for not realizing that this Tim Cook knockoff is actually also a returning character, because even the DNA of minor antagonists must be harvested from the corpse of the original film.
Dodson! Dodson! We've got Dodson here!
Sure, fine.
Nobody cares.
Whatever. One thing all of the Jurassic films have in common is the T-Rex machina, the Tyrannosaurus doling out narrative justice when it's needed most. As the literal symbol of the original Jurassic franchise, yes, this is a real shot from the movie, the T-Rex is venerated by Jurassic World films as the most holy anointed dino mother. Initially obscured or off-screen, Mother T-Rexa eventually shows up for the climactic battle, usually to teach a lesson to the latest would-be usurper to the dino throne. And the new kid from the allergy table usually joins in too. Though not a great movie, props to Jurassic Park 3 for having the Spinosaurus go all prison rules on the T-Rex 20 minutes into the film. The T-Rex machina is a bizarre staple of these films, as it clearly indicates the superiority of the old over the new, and an acknowledgement that nothing will ever be better than the original Jurassic Park. Call it reverence or self-deprecation, but that sentiment is ever present in all Jurassic World films.
That first park was legit.
Jurassic World? Not a fan.
Though not a problem exclusive to the new film, none of Dominion's protagonists are ever in any real danger. Sure, they're almost eaten, smushed, crashed, or drowned, but we know they'll all make it out alive. The lack of realism at play doesn't help much either. No matter how good the CGI gets, there's no replacing the authenticity of a real thing, puppet, costume, or otherwise, sharing the same physical space as the actors. Again, JP3 not so good, but at least they made life-size puppets for Spinosaurus and the talking raptor.
Alan!
Who is typically in danger in a Jurassic film? The cruel, the greedy, or just people who are minding their own business and doing their goddamn jobs? Seriously, this assistant probably has the worst death in all of the films. It's like 2 deaths in 1. You may think that these movies are nothing more than people running away from dinosaurs, but what if I told you they're actually about divorce and the nuclear family? While Jurassic World was criticized for its bizarre framing of sending kids to the dino park so we can finalize a divorce, it isn't exactly an anomaly in the series. In Jurassic Park, a throwaway line of dialogue reveals that John Hammond's daughter, mother of these two scamps, was also going through a divorce. Ian Malcolm references numerous ex-wives in the first film, and in The Lost World we are introduced to another child of divorce in the form of his daughter Kelly. Jurassic Park 3 is all about 2 divorced parents reuniting to search for their dino-displaced son. Alluded to earlier, Alan Grant's character arc in the first film is basically doesn't like kids, has to protect kids from dinosaurs, now likes kids. Likewise, the Claire Dearing arc of the first Jurassic World film is that of women in business just don't have time to have a personal life, so maybe be a mom instead. In the Jurassic films, traditional family values are front and center. However, the notion of dinosaur divorce is never mentioned. And since all of the male dinos were born female,
spontaneously change sex from male to female,
that makes trans couples the pinnacle of parenthood and marriage. Take that, Fox News. In the end, Jurassic World Dominion is a movie filled with too many cast members, plot points, and platitudes.
We hold on to regret, and we stay in the past. What matters, I guess, is what we do now.
Do you know what movie you're in, lady? And hold it right there, Raptor Bros. Here's a rundown of stray Dominion thoughts in no particular order.
I got a call last week. It's a real job.
This makes it sound like he's gonna be a sales rep for T-Mobile, not work at the goddamn CIA. Ooh, I bet he's gonna come back in the sequel with an eye patch and a robot arm.
Do you two talk a lot?
He slid into my DMs.
He did what?
Haha, the cultural disconnect. Locust-based news alerts.
Sounds very scary. You must be so brave.
Him? Not him. Not him. It's always him.
He wouldn't know this. How would he know this? Are you telling me that Ian Malcolm was in the theater watching the last 2 Jurassic World movies just like me? Man, we sure did like this guy better when he was a chubby mystery, didn't we?